Today we're going to be looking at Skysavior Stun, and as the name might suggest, stun decks aren't very well liked in the community. Stun decks basically try to restrict your opponent's options as much as possible, meaning they can't really play the game. So a lot of the cards in Skysavior specifically do this, and the main culprit of this is Ultiera the Skysavior Transients, which does restrict our opponent from activating normal spell cards except for fusion. This means they can't activate their legend spell cards, it means they can't activate any of their draw spells, they can't activate any of their back row hate. It's very, very oppressive against the right decks. The other one, which is again to a lesser extent, is Druckmore the Skysavior Phantom, which protects our monsters from being destroyed by our opponent's card effects, which again does in a sense turn off some of their effects. It turns off your opponent's like Dark Hole, it turns off their Mirror Force, turns off their Torrential Tributes, which does make it harder for them to interact with us. And then if we look away from the Skysavior part of the deck and over towards the rest of the kind of, I guess, Gakuto section of the deck, we have Yamiterasu the Divine Delayer. Now, this monster is a bit of an asshole if he's doing what he is meant to be doing, which is, until the end of your opponent's next turn, while this card is face up against 500 attack, also neither player can special summon level 9 or lower monsters in face up attack position. This basically stops all special summons outside of maximums and things like Seven's Geas, which is a level 10, and forces them into defense mode, which makes it very difficult for them to out this threat. If you manage to get out a Druckmore and an Ultiera and a Yamiterasu, your opponent now can't really activate spell cards. Even if they do activate fusion, whatever they summon has to come out in defense mode, and it also can't destroy us with an effect. So it can't attack over us, it can't destroy us with an effect, and they can't use their spell cards to back it up, which makes it a very, very difficult lock for your opponent to out. So, looking at the other fusion monsters, we have Digrace the Skysavior Radiance. So send the top card of the deck to the graveyard. This card can gain attack equal to the number of face-up Celestial Warrior type monsters on the field times 1000. Or, this turn, this card can make up to 2 attacks on monsters. So, really good way to clear monsters out of the way so you can attack, or boost up to a massive number to get over things like problematic maximums. Next up, we are on Kimiterasu the Rising Luna. This is an interesting one. We're on Kime Luna because it oftentimes can out a lot of problematic cards. You really want to have a way to destroy cards with effects because eventually there might be some monsters which are like too big to get over, so just having a way to out stuff can be really important. And specifically, Kimiterasu lets us either add a monster 0 attack from our graveyard to our hand, which we're very rarely going to do, but more importantly, destroy up to 2 defense position monsters in your opponent's field. So if our opponent is playing a bunch of defense monsters because they can't out our board, we can pop them. We can also use Kime Luna's effect to change the monsters to defense and then destroy them with Kimiterasu. Or if they're under the effect of Yamiterasu and have to summon in defense, we can pop them then. So very useful card, and just being able to destroy monsters is always a plus. And then the final and least used fusion in the deck is Saucier the Skysavior Light Flash. We can place one other card from our field on the bottom of the deck, which is kind of an annoying cost, but we can destroy spell trap cards on the opponent's field up to the number of face-up Celestial Warrior type monsters on our field. Usually that will be 1 or 2, but still a way to clear back row can be very, very important. Or we can add Skysavior Symbol from our graveyard to our hand, but we're not playing that card, so it's a bit redundant. But yeah, this is the fusion lineup, and all of them are kind of good. Like, none of these cards are bad. The worst one is probably Saucier, and that's because of its low attack value and effect, which sometimes is good and has an annoying cost, but still, in a long grind game, having a way to get rid of your opponent's back row is very, very important. So going through the main deck, we have Valkyrian Sokori. It being a normal monster is slightly beneficial because it means we can use it with Star Restart, so that is the only real benefit of it. Other than that, it's just a 1400 defender. There's not much really to say about it. It's okay. Next up, Yami Ruler, the Dark Delayer. So again, it's got another kind of floodgatey effect. During the turn we summon this card, change its battle position, so it becomes face-up defense position until the end of the opponent's next turn. When this card is face-up, neither player contributes summon level 7 or higher monsters. So we can summon out, put it in defense as 2500, and then tell our opponent they are not allowed to tribute summon any level 7 or 8 monsters, which usually means they won't be able to out this without a special summon, which on its own is annoying. In the more modern Rush format, it doesn't matter too much. We have a lot of ways to special summon, but especially when this card first came out, this was a very oppressive effect and can still be annoying even today. Next monster, Kime Luna. Being able to change monsters' battle positions, again, can be very relevant. Putting monsters to defense mode and just being able to attack over them a lot of the time will be enough, but also, like we said before, we can combo it with Kimiterasu, and there is some other bits and bobs we can do, plus 2500 defense is decent because it's difficult for your opponent to boost over this without something like a 7's Rogue Magician effect or performing a fusion summon or something like that. A lot of the boss monsters in this game tend to cap out around 2500 attack. Next up, it wouldn't be a stun deck without more floodgates. So here is Vanity's Fiend. This card cannot be special summoned, neither player can special summon monsters. Obviously, this will lock us out of special summoning as well, so we want to summon this last, ideally. But because it's level 6, we can summon out 2 of our fusion monsters and then summon this out in our 3rd slot and just basically try and lock our opponent even harder out of the game. The only real negative to this card is it's level 6, so it does lose quite hard to Mad Rare Aquila, which does kind of suck, but them's the breaks. Next up, Dunkus the Skysavior Knight. So we can reveal up to 5 Celestial Warrior type monsters with different names in our extra deck, then it'll gain attack equal to the number of monsters revealed times 200, but this does lock us into only attacking with Celestial Warriors, and Fairies, which means our Pyros, Dragons, and Fiend will not be able to attack during the turn we use these effects. So that is something to take note of, but 23 is a decent amount. We can get over a lot of stuff for 23. Obviously, it doesn't hit that 25 that we'd like to hit, but 23 is still decent. Then we have Sealer, who is actually an incredible card. Again, same effect, reveal 5, but we reduce the attack of one of our opponent's monsters by 1000, which again, if we combine these two, we can then attack over or up to 3300 attack, which is tons. Sealer is amazing. Next up, Barrier Statue, who is a Vanity's Fiend little brother. Again, Floodgate effect, stop your opponent from special summoning, really, really useful. Then Astro Biodrake. So this card is decent because we can use it to bring back our fusion from the graveyard. We don't have a ton of ways to recycle fusion, so this is just a good way to do that. Obviously, because it's a dragon, a lot of the time it will get locked out of being able to attack, but ideally we will summon this and then tribute it away anyway, so it shouldn't be causing us too many issues. Next up, Soliel, the Skysavior Angel. We can reveal a warrior type monster from our hand. This card's name becomes Lua, the Skysavior Angel, so it becomes the blue one, and then the blue one's effect becomes the orange one. Then we excavate the top 4 cards of our deck. We can add 1 excavated fusion to our hand, place the others on the bottom of the deck in any order. So this is a really cool card because this helps us dig for fusion, but also if we keep track of the monsters or cards that we're putting to the bottom of our deck, we can basically know the order we're going to get there. So if we use enough of these effects and stack the bottom of our deck enough, that means eventually we'll get to the stage where we'll know the exact order of the cards at the bottom of our deck, and we can make informed decisions based on that, which can be really good if you remember them. Next up, Lure the Skysavior Angel. Again, reveal warrior type monster. Instead of excavating the top cards of the deck though, we are milling the top 3 cards of our deck, and we can add fusion from among the cards sent to the graveyard to our hand. So again, when you use its effect, it will become Soliel, which means it will change which fusions we're able to go into. So this can be a really important effect to either swap the one that we want to, or if we're digging for fusion, we have to keep in mind that the fusion monster we'll be able to get out of it is going to be different. And finally, Mezame, the Ringing Alarm. So if this card was normal summoned this turn and your opponent has a face-up monster with 2500 or more attack on their field, you can add 1 level 7 or higher warrior type monster from your graveyard to your hand. This turn, you cannot attack with monsters with 1900 or less defense. So it's an interesting restriction, the whole 1900 or less defense. It doesn't really matter in our deck too much. The most annoying one is Dig Race, because Dig Race obviously has less than 1900 defense. But it's still good to get back our big monsters, which we can then use for fusion summons. Usually it's going to be Yami Ruler, so we can get out Yami Tarasu and kind of get the big lockdown going, but we can use this effect to also get back Kime Luna. So for the spell, Skysavior Witnesses, a really, really good spell card with a annoying effect. So reveal 2 warrior and or fairy type monsters from your hand. Again, we're on a lot of warriors and fairies, but we do have the dragons, the fiend, and the pyro, which sometimes can get a little bit annoying, which means we'll be able to fully resolve the effect. But when you do get it off, we can excavate the top 5 cards of our deck, add 1 excavated card to our hand, place the remaining cards on the bottom of our deck in any order. This turn, your level 8 or lower monsters cannot attack, and your opponent takes no effect damage. So basically, we'll just use this to dig and dig and dig. A lot of the time, we'll be digging for halves of our fusion, or to get our fusion itself, just so that we can, again, get into our combo plays. So really, really good card. Being able to resolve 1, 2, or even 3 of this in a turn can help you dig into exactly what you're looking for, so really, really strong. Next up, Starry Start. Again, getting back fusion, getting back Valkyrian Sokuri, really, really important. We will occasionally be like milling some of this, or we'll use it and have to reuse it, so it's always good to have a way to get it back. Starry Start, again, is a little bit tricky because we have to lose a card from our hand, but it's a 2 for 2 effectively, so it does work out at the end. Next up, Fusion. I mean, obviously, we're playing Fusion because we're playing a Fusion deck, and we have lots of cards that use Fusion, such as Starry Start and our Skysavior Angels, which all use Fusion. They all dig for fusion, and Astro Biodrake gets fusion back from the graveyard. Monster Reborn is our legend of choice. The reason we've gone with Monster Reborn specifically is because we just need to get our floodgates out and keep them around. If Yami Tarasu gets outed, we'll just bring it back. If Drakmor gets outed, we'll just bring it back. If Altaria gets outed, we'll just bring it back. Being able to have access to our fusion monsters is always going to be really, really important to try and keep our opponent locked down. This is a stun deck, and we want to keep our opponent stunned. Next up, we have 2 copies of Trade-In. This is because we have 6 level 8 monsters, so we ideally want to be getting rid of some of them to draw some extra cards. It can be really useful. We can also use Mizame to put them in our hand, and then use Trade-In to send them to the graveyard. Just again, you always want to have some sort of draw power in the deck, and Trade-In is going to be the best one for this because it is a level 8-centric deck. Next up, Nobody's Scat Thief. Again, fantastic trap. We're on 2 copies because, again, this deck is fundamentally a combo stun deck. We want to draw into all of our pieces so we can get our floodgates online. Nobody's Scat Thief lets us do that. It also helps us stall out the game a little bit, fixes our hand, fixes the top of our deck. Just an all-around fantastic card. And then we're on Mirror Force because, again, we're not really interested in Magic Cylindering our opponents because Magic Cylinder is really good for trying to like end the game. But this deck is going to slowly grind out the game by locking out our opponent. So Mirror Force is a better way to deal with the enemy threats and then set up our floodgates and say, well, we've already dealt with all the threats. Now try and set up that board again. I think you can't. So for the side deck, we have Yami, Ruler the Dark Delayer, Supreme Soldier Spear. If our opponent is on a lot of destruction trapped, or if we're against, for example, maybe spellcasters and they're playing a lot of Dark Revelation, we can bring this in to protect our monsters. We have Avian Spell Strategy in case we need the back row hate. There's going to be very rare, I think, they actually bring this card in, but when it does, it will be very important to get rid of those annoying back rows. We have Talismanic Seal Array, again, to deal with Maximum specifically. We have Dark Hole, again, sometimes we are just going to need spell outs, and this is a good one. We have Prison Island Cell Block 5 and 6. Again, this is going to be specifically for Harpies. Very, very good, can lock them out of the game, and why would you not put another stun card in the stun deck? Next up, Word Working. This works against most of the meta, but primarily this is going to be for 7's Wonder Fusion Turbo, because that deck is very oppressive. And unfortunately, 7's Wonder Fusion Turbo does not get beaten by Yamiterasu because 7's Geas is a level 10. So Yamiterasu does not stop it, which means he can just pop off, so we have to rely on other floodgates to get that down. So Word Working, another way to try and help us and not have to deal with that. Then we have Torrential Tribute for any of those decks that turn off our battle traps. So Sea Serpent Maximum is an obvious one, and there are a few others like Harpies. Just anything that can take away our ability to use traps during the battle phase, Torrential Tribute is always going to be king. So this is the deck. It's reasonably strong. The main issue I found with this deck is people don't like playing against it. Often you'll get comments when you try and play against people with this deck. They'll let you know they don't like the deck and they don't really like you for playing the deck. So if you're out to make friends, I wouldn't play this deck. But it's very strong. It can be fun. But again, nobody likes playing against stun. So a lot of the time when I play this deck, my opponents would give up very, very quickly and just not want to play anymore. So the replays are going to be a little bit limited just because there are a lot of games where we get 3 or 4 turns in and my opponent just gives up because they just can't play the game. But that is kind of the stun game plan, so I guess the deck does what it wants. Basically, this deck is okay. This deck is not top tier. This is probably bottom of tier 2, I think is probably where it sits, where a lot of the top tier meta decks can play around it, but it does stop a lot of the field. A lot of decks can't play under the stun that this deck sets up, so it can be really oppressive. But let's fire in some replays. I can show you what I'm talking about.